to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
So, what brings you in today?
Well, let's see. I'm a college freshman, and Georgia State has the nice dining facilities and whatnot now. So I've definitely taken advantage of it a bit more than I probably should. I've gained the freshman 15, and I think I'm really looking. Bikini season's really like around the corner, so I gotta get it back into shape.
Okay. So, do you mind? And before we continue, do you mind if I take some notes?
Oh, go for it.
Okay. So just to reiterate, you're a college freshman here at State. You've been taking full advantage of the dining hall and its the variety and the multitudes of food that it has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And you've noticed that you've steadily gained some weight, and you're just interested in trying to kind of lose some of the weight you've gained and get ready for, I guess, the spring season, beach season.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the dining hall, it's all open all the time, and it's all you can eat, and there's so many options, which is really good. But I know that some things are better for me than others, but it's really hard to you see the French fries and they look good every day, so it's hard to know what to eat and when to eat and how much. And
now, are you eating throughout the day or more just large meals?
I tend to try to sleep in. I try to get my classes a little bit later on in the day, so I normally miss breakfast. But then, by the time that I'll go to class, and then by the time I come back around 12:30 or so, I'm normally starving.
Okay.
So then I kind of eat whatever is closest to me, like the ready-made pastas.
Okay.
And garlic bread. I love my carbs.
Okay, that's fine. So anything that's convenient. I mean, that's
right.
Usually what you go for.
Definitely.
Now, do you have access to fresh fruits and vegetables at all in your dorm, or do you care for those at all, or is it more it's just not something that you like, so you tend to?
I definitely do. I mean, in high school, I felt like I was an athlete. Like I ate a lot better. I cared more about what I ate.
Okay.
But then coming to college, not having those obligations anymore, you start to not pay as close attention, and you think, like a little bit of fries here, a little bit of ice cream there. That's not going to do any harm. But then I guess it's kind of creeped up on me over the past, 9 months or whatever, how long we've been in college.
So these last 9 months, just snacking here and there, it's just kind of all of it's added up, and you've found that you've gained some weight, and that you're not necessarily.
Definitely, and especially whenever there's so much more time for social activities. So we spend a lot of time socializing in the dining hall. So it's kind of, you graze a lot, and then on the weekends, we go out and party and have a good time, and drink alcohol, and then get the late night munchies and order a pizza or whatever. So I think that you don't really think about those as much, but I guess it definitely adds up.
So, do you think you're willing to make any changes in your diet, or is it something? I mean, are there certain things that you are kind of, you'd like to stick with, and there's certain things that maybe you could kind of just try some alternates or some different options?
Well, I think that I love the convenience of the dining hall, so I don't know if I'd want to give that up. I don't know if I'd want to start cooking for myself or anything. That doesn't seem very appealing to me. And I also love the social aspect, whether we're going out on the weekends, going to restaurants, stuff like that. I wouldn't mind making some healthier choices while I'm, obviously at the dining hall and going out and stuff like that. But I really like the social aspect of it.
Okay. Well, would you mind walking me through a typical meal when you go to the dining hall, let's say for lunch? What are some of the foods, of the options that they have? I'm assuming, haven't been down to the dining hall recently myself, but assuming it has kind of like a sandwich line, the hot food items, maybe some cereal, cold food items, and then fresh fruits and vegetables, maybe a salad bar.
That's pretty much a good synopsis of it. They'll have a ready-made Asian pasta / noodle and rice area. So they have that, and then pasta, pizza, burgers, sandwiches, all that kind of stuff. I think sometimes I do really good with the savory stuff, but the sweets really get me too. They have this huge, you know, this just massive. It's like whoa, of just like cakes and pastries, ice cream, candy. It's decadent for sure.
So you find that you can kind of cut back on some of the heavier fatty foods and the burgers and sandwiches and fried foods, but the sweets are really what kind of draw you in.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet tooth. Okay.
Definitely.
Well, when you go into so the sweets catch your eye, but what do you tend if you were to have a meal right now, what would you if you were walking into the dining hall, what foods would you typically put on your plate?
Let's see. Today's Monday. So that means that they have a really good Asian selection on Tuesday for lunch. So if I was to go in there, I'd probably do the ready-made Asian stuff.
Okay.
So normally there'll be beef and noodles. I love that peanut sauce that we get to put on it. Maybe some fruits, maybe some vegetables in there.
Okay.
Put some vegetables in there.
Now, is that already in the Asian dish? Are there vegetables in?
You can build it yourself.
Okay. And do you typically go for that, or is that something you like to add the vegetables in, or is that?
I do.
Okay.
I like it.
So you like the vegetables, the way they cook them and everything.
I do.
Okay. Now, do they offer like a vegetarian option where you can kind of substitute the meat for just more veggies, or?
I think so. You can kind of pick and choose whichever you want.
Okay.
They kind of tailor it to whatever your needs are.
Okay. Is that something that you think you'd be willing to? Well, maybe instead of you said the savory is something you can kind of live without. Maybe substituting more vegetables for some of the savory stuff instead, and then still kind of have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, especially because if I know some better options as far as my normal meal, those little splurges that I have maybe wouldn't create this.
And now you said that you really enjoy the social aspect of going to the dining hall and going out on the weekends. How much alcohol are you consuming on a typical weekend? I mean, how many drinks is it?
Let's see. If I go out Friday night, probably 4 drinks.
4 drinks.
And then sometimes we'll pull the double. Go out on Saturday night too. Another 4 drinks or so.
Okay. And then kind of call it quits on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we rest.
Okay. Now, are you just, what kind of drinks are you going for? Are you going for the mixed drinks, like, I guess, Bloody Marys, Cosmos, margaritas, or?
I think margaritas, yeah.
Margaritas, okay.
My friends and I definitely like the sweeter.
So that just plays along the same lines of your food cravings.
Right.
Sweeter the better, okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, I know margaritas are really heavily laden with sugar, so it's going to be, I'm sure that's right up your alley as far as sweets, but now are the margaritas, are those something that you'd be willing to look for, like kind of an alternative, maybe something like a lower calorie option as far as a drink, like maybe something with like lime soda versus like the margarita mix, and still that way, I mean, unless you wanted to cut out alcohol altogether, which I don't know if that's something you're willing to do.
I think maybe I could like cut it out. Maybe I'll pick one day during the weekend to have it, and then one day not. Like,
okay.
Maybe I'll be DD the next night. And I'd be willing to look into having a lower calorie option, because sometimes the sugary drinks do kind of make you feel a little bit, I don't know, maybe nauseous by the time you've had like several. So I'd be willing to look into a lower calorie option.
Well, that's good. I mean, so low cal option, or so, and you said that you'd even be willing to kind of say you're the designated driver that night, so you're not even drinking at all. So that's, I mean, that would surely reduce some of those, I think, some of the late night cravings for food after a long night of drinking.
Right.
It's not uncommon to be really hungry, considering because you haven't really had much in your stomach except for liquids, and then you go for the foods and you just want to eat what tastes good. So I think that would solve some of the problems, or at least start to reduce the calorie consumption, where you start seeing some of the pounds come off over time. And I think that's definitely a good decision on your part.
of the other things is that, you know, it's hard whenever you have the pressure of having your friends around all the time. You know, some of like my guy friends, they can do all of this stuff and not gain a pound. But, you know, I'm a small girl, so I guess it affects me a lot differently than it's going to affect them. So hopefully some of the changes that I make would, you know, they're either supportive of it, you know, and they're not like, oh, you know, I said, why are you being a drag? Like, come on, just have a few drinks or whatever. So hopefully there's a way that I can express to them that this is important to me and that I won't always, like, you know, that I'll have, you know, I'm changing a lifestyle.
So you find that the social pressure is kind of what you get kind of
Caught up in it. Yeah.
So okay, so that lifestyle, it's hard to get out of, because I mean, if everyone around you is doing it, it's tough to kind of withdraw yourself and not partake in the fun and, you know, enjoy. Okay.
Exactly, and even if I say like, oh, I'm not eating the pizza, they order pizza and it's like sitting right in front of you, and you're like, but it smells so good. Yeah. So it's lots of temptation. You just kind of know like when to give in and then when to really not.
Yeah, and I mean that's really what, you know, this, I guess, good nutrition is all about. It's kind of when you got to choose when to fight, what battles to pick. I mean, you know, you can't change everything about your diet, because that's unrealistic. I wouldn't ask anybody to do that, because it's hard. I mean, everyone likes the foods that they like, and I wouldn't want you to have to not eat the foods that you enjoy. It's just all about kind of substituting some things at some times, so that way you get the body that you want, you feel better, whatever you're looking for from food. If you want to enjoy it more, kind of get closer to somebody through food, whatever it is, it's all about just kind of figuring out ways to tailor your diet to get everything that you want out of it.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because, you know, if you get this perception that nutritionists are going to be like, oh, you have to eat, you know, all these X, Y, and Z, but I'm glad to hear you say that there's some wiggle room.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun of eating. I mean, you get to enjoy things, experience things through food, but, you know, like I said, you know, just kind of, you got to pick and choose. And it sounds like you're willing to add more vegetables to some of the like the buffet options, like the made pasta dishes to order options, and kind of substitute the drinks, or maybe even take a night off from drinking on occasion. And I mean, all that stuff's going to add up over time, and hopefully in no time you'll have the body that you want.
Awesome.
So, but I guess just to recap, since we're almost out of time, I think we've covered that you've gained the freshman 15 and you're kind of displeased with that, and you're not, and I guess, and this is just to go back to a point you made earlier, you said that you like to sleep in and you usually miss breakfast. Is breakfast something, or at least a small meal, so you don't eat anything before you go to class?
Typically no.
Do you think you'd be able to maybe squeeze in like a cereal bar or something before you go to class? Just to put something in your stomach, so that way when you get back from class you're not so starved to where you just go immediately to those convenient foods. You may have a little bit more time to think about what you're going to eat.
Yeah, I guess if I got up like 15 minutes earlier or 10 minutes earlier, even just to grab a cereal bar, in the dining hall before I go to class, that would be good.
Yeah, I mean, just anything to get in your stomach. That way, you're not completely famished when you're done with your first class, and I mean, it'll help you better, and it'll help you out in the long run. I mean, you'll have a little bit in your stomach when you go to class, and you'll feel better. You won't be starving through the class, so you'll be able to focus more, and I think it'll help a lot.
They sound like doable changes.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you think so, and I have complete faith that you'll be able to make the changes and get the results that you want.
Awesome. Well, thank you for meeting with me today.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. So maybe I'll see you next time?
Yep.